These are the Everglades, considered part of the lungs of our planet. As the 10th largest national park,
This trail, although it is really long,
its 1.5 million acres of biodiversity offer a new ecosystem at every turn. This is our first trip in our self-converted van, so there's bound to be challenges. Water's going everywhere.
and Ollie is panicking on the inside.
And excitement as we travel to our first national park. Come along as we get down,
Mosquitoes are biting my fingers as I hold the camera.
dirty, and up close and personal with the Everglades.
We're kayaking through a mangrove tunnel.
Learning about its history, challenges, and what makes this location unlike any other on Earth. Our first stop!
Woohoo! Yay! First national park in the van.
We just popped in the visitor center really quick. They were about to close, got our stamp and our passport book, and now we head basically into the park. It's almost 40 miles to the campground at the edge of the park. So to beat sunset, we drove straight in. It's our first ever spot.
What?
Our first ever time camping in this van.
Alright. Well, we just filled up our water and Elliot is soaked.
We need a different hose. Yeah, well, things you learn. After our first night camping in Summit, we're off to our first hike in the Everglades, on what is perhaps the rainiest day of the dry season.
Unfortunately, dogs are not allowed on any trails in Everglades National Park. However, they are allowed in the campsites. So we took her on a nice walk this morning, got her all tired, and she is staying in the van.
We chose the Rowdy Bend Trail because it is not being maintained. That may seem like an oxymoron, but because it wasn't being maintained, we were able to immerse ourselves in this ecosystem of the Everglades, with no traffic and less of a human touch.
We lasted, what, maybe 2 minutes? Time for the bug nets. Let's go. How wild is it that we're walking through the Everglades right now?
Pretty wild.
Literally.
So far the trail is beautiful. We've walked through what seems like a few different ecosystems. We walked through some mangroves, which look very different than the area that we are in right now. And yeah, it is a bit wet, not too wet that we couldn't enjoy it, but we are glad somewhat for the rain because it means that, or we think, that there's a few less mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are ravenous.
And it helps us see the spider webs.
Oh yeah, and it helps to see the spider webs.
It's so cool. We can see like the tracks of these, I don't know, maybe herons. There's kind of a big bird track. You can kind of see it tracked up in the mud that way. And here we have paw prints. I wonder if those are panther paw prints. Hiking is the challenge.
That was challenging.
It's just, you get one step you're good, and the other step you're
like
5 inches in the mud.
Yeah. All right, that is the end of the Rowdy Bend Trail, which leads us into the Snake Bite Trail. Now, if we were to go left, that would take us to the main road. But if we go right, that takes us to a platform where we can hopefully see out over the water. So we're going that way. We're going to the water.
And as we hike to the bay, we're kind of walking parallel to this like stream or creek that's also going out to the bay. So I'm keeping my eye out. I really want to see some crocodiles or some alligators. This is, I want to say, the only place in the world where there are both crocodiles and alligators in the Everglades. Are super cool. I also want to see a python. I kind of want to and I don't want to because they're invasive, so I don't want to see it, but I don't think I've ever seen a python in the wild, so that would be absolutely insane.
Wow.
There's the bay. All those birds out there. Where's my girl?
Oh, you took that one down too.
You took down the window covers. You said, I want to see out. The official metric 7.5
97 miles. So just about 8 miles in 4 hours. What a great way. Okay, I know. You just want to say hi.
We are back in our lovely campground and we have changed into some dry clothes. I'm about to make some dinner. We're having a stir fry, and then we are going on a ranger-led tour through one of the hikes, which we're really excited about. Yeah, so we have a bit of a deadline with that. First up, dinner.
First time using the air fryer in the van.
Yeah.
Let's go. What do we have here?
Well, you can hear Ollie eating her dinner, but we are enjoying a stir fry with some tofu and brown rice.
Ranger Kenzie led us on a night hike through the West Lake Trail, where she shared the other half of the Everglades at night. While the camera didn't do it justice, the sounds of various life and view of the stars was dreamy.
Bug nets, incredibly crucial. Most crucial piece of equipment, really.
I've been outside for 2 seconds, got a mosquito right on the, oh, there you go, you shook it off. So the goal today with all the hikes is to kind of hike through the various different ecosystems of the Everglades. So kind of like as you come in on the main road, and we're gonna be coming out of the main road today, each hike has a different ecosystem, which is pretty cool. So this one at the very far end of the park is the Coastal Prairie hiking trail. So we're not gonna do it all because it's a 6-mile one-way hike. That'd be pretty much all day for us. So we're gonna do a bit of it and see a coastal prairie ecosystem. Let's do it. I think this trail is a wrap. The mosquitoes with the canopy of trees is always so much worse than on other trails with more sunlight. Mosquitoes don't like sunlight and they don't like wind. There's no wind here and a little bit less sunlight than other areas of the park. So that's a wrap of the Coastal Prairie Trail. How far did I get in? Jennifer did not make it a 1/4 mile in because mosquitoes, if you didn't know, can bite through clothing. So anywhere your clothing kind of touches your skin, they can do that if your clothing's not thick enough, which it rarely will be. But nevertheless, on to the next trail. All right, next up we have the Guy Bradley Trail. This trail is kind of like bordering Florida Bay, so we're hoping maybe there's gonna be a little bit more of a breeze, so less mosquitoes, but we'll see. Jen's still prepared regardless.
Yes. There's 2 seasons in the Everglades. There's the wet season and the dry season. So we have the dry season between about December through May, and the wet season is June through November. It correlates with hurricane season, but because of that, yesterday we had a rainy day, which is actually an unusual occurrence in Everglades in the winter. Oh, we have some friends.
Some white ibises. Hi. Is it crazy to think that we were on our boat in the Florida Bay, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah. And now we are viewing Florida Bay from the shore. That's kind of wild.
In Everglades National Park. See how warm the water is. Oh, not super cold. Very refreshing. Right here are the new lodges for Everglades National Park. They're just recently constructed, and you can tell how lifted they are off the ground. Trying to be as hurricane resilient as possible.
And you can see that they're made out of shipping containers, so they're very modular, which kind of lends them to be easily moved. So you can kind of see some of the shipping container components.
Yeah, you can see the corrugated metal.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, we've made it to the visitor center.
Yes, this is the Flamingo Visitor Center, which is named the Guy Bradley Visitor Center. He was actually I believe a hunter or poacher turned conservationist, and Guy Bradley was actually killed by one of the poachers.
It's a martyr for the cause.
At the visitor center, we found Freddie, the resident 14-foot crocodile and his new mate. His name is Freddie because apparently, unlike most male crocs, he has been known to kill females. Hence, his full name, Freddie Krueger.
Next up on our different ecological site visits here in the Everglades is the Mahogany Hammock Trail. And just driving in, it looked very different than where we just were in Flamingo. A lot more grassy. I'm excited to see what this boardwalk has. Bridges the Sawgrass River. All right.
This trail is really beautiful. You can see the life and the death in nature. You have this fallen tree that has died, but then you have all these other plants like the fern that have kind of taken home onto its root system where it uplifted and fell, and are now calling it home. So it's kind of cool. You see this like the process of life.
And this right here is a mahogany tree, the namesake of the trail. We were just reading how important these trees are for the ecosystem because these are long growth trees of great stature, so they're really good for preventing soil erosion and helping dilute the wind coming in to protect some of the smaller brush. And of course mahogany makes a great wood, so that's why they're cut down in many places, but they're just very important for the ecosystem. And this tree is completely massive. I mean, it's probably 8 feet around and huge.
You know, coming here, I didn't really expect to enjoy the boardwalk or paved trails that much. Typically, I like a little bit more of a strenuous or like a challenging hike. But to be honest though, I've enjoyed these boardwalk and paved trails a lot more than I have the other trails. The signs on them, being able to see and learn as I go, it's been really nice.
Next up we have the Paheoki Trail. Just like the Mahogany Hammock Trail, it's a boardwalk. And this one, we're gonna be going through grassy waters. That's gonna be the ecosystem. And a fun fact, the Everglades, you often hear of it called a swamp, but the Everglades is actually not a swamp. There are no swamps in the Everglades boundaries because all of the waters in the Everglades are moving, and the swamp is stagnant water. These are bald cypress trees, and they're dormant in the winter, so they have a little bit less foliage on them. And just, they kind of look eerie in a way, and beautiful. The way it's just like a sea of white, and their stumps kind of go into the water. And when their leaves drop, they actually become like an acid, which erodes the limestone, making the water deeper, and that's better for them. So their leaves are making their environment better. Pretty cool.
Like Elliot mentioned at this trailhead, this trail is all about the grasslands. So behind me we have prairie, and this particular prairie is not a dry prairie like you may think. This is a wet prairie. This water behind me comes from the Shark River Slough, and it takes about a month for all of this water to very, very slowly migrate down to Florida Bay, where we were at this morning. And so all of this water, although it looks like it is stagnant, it actually is moving, just at a very slow rate. Next up, we are on our way to see the Nike missile site. And this site has some kind of interesting history and backstory to it, which we can't wait to learn about at the ranger station.
You might not see a connection between the Everglades National Park and the Cold War, but in a remote area of the park, there is the HM-69 missile site, one of the best preserved Cold War relics in Florida. Today commemorates the 60th anniversary of the site, and although we saw mostly smiles, this quote from an unnamed soldier put their time here in perspective. In the southern part of Florida, Battery A is the spot where we are doomed to die in, the land that God forgot. But when we die and go to heaven, we will hear St. Peter yell, "Come on in, Battery A soldier, you've spent your time in hell." Well, that was an incredible side trip. Let us know in the comments below if you expected there to be missile silos or historical missile silos in the Everglades. We are on our last 2 trails of this part of the park, and here on the Gumbo Limbo Trail, which is named after the Gumbo Limbo tree, which is a very beautiful tree. The bark is like peeling, it just looks very unique, and the bark actually has medicinal properties. In this part of the park, it really is just a totally different ecosystem, and this is kind of like a hardwood tropical forest. So we kind of saw the mahogany as another form of the hardwood, but that was on the grassy wetlands, and this it's not in the grassy wetland, so it's just a totally different atmosphere.
So one of the things that we've noticed is that the further north that we've come in the park, the mosquitoes have gone way down, which is really nice, but a little surprising given that we're under a tree canopy, so that's supposed to be where they are more abundant, and it is around dusk right now, so that's also when they're supposed to be coming out a bit more, but they're not. It's actually pretty pleasant right now, surprisingly. We have saved the last trail for today as the Anhinga Trail, which is one of the most popular trails in Everglades National Park, especially in this part of the park. During the winter, a lot of the wildlife is congregated in these freshwater pools, so we hope to see a lot of wildlife on this walk.
We've just seen our first alligator. It's right over there. Can you see it? It's like in the
grass.
Yeah, in the grass. I can see why this trail is the most popular. The wildlife here is just right up close and personal to you. So many birds. I mean, we're hitting it at sunset, so the light is just everything. But this might be my favorite hike of the Everglades so far. But we have a really fun one coming up, so make sure you stay tuned. That was a fantastic sunset.
Yeah, and today's hikes were phenomenal.
10 out of 10.
Tomorrow we'll be heading to Shark Valley, and we are very excited because this is at the northern side of the park, so it should show us a different side of Everglades National Park.
On our way from the southeastern part of the Everglades to the northern part of the Everglades, which is Shark Valley, there's this tiny little, it's really massive, fruit stand called Robert is Here. This has been an icon for so many years, and you can get fresh fruit, smoothies, milkshakes. They have a barbecue stand, just so many different things. Let's check it out.
Yay!
Oh, it's the girls! Ollie, where are you going? Come on, let's go, let's go. Yeah, yeah. Hi.
You're gonna love this. We ordered a guanabana milkshake. You can order your fruit with basically two different ways. One, with ice cream, which is a milkshake, or two, you can have your fruit with ice, which is a smoothie. We chose the milkshake option. So good. Really creamy, delicious. You wanna try it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely tastes like guanabana.
Yeah.
It has a unique flavor. It's like not super sweet, but still sweet. If you've never had guanabana, it's also called like soursop. We had it first in Costa Rica pre-YouTube, and I love it. It's just very mild sweetness. Very, very, very delicious. Yeah. All right, now let's drive to our campground in the north side of the Everglades. Today we are doing a wet walk. Woo.
Oh boy!
Oh, it's cold. It's cold.
It is definitely cold. This is a Channel Islands snail? Shell.
Invasive.
It is an invasive species. We are slogging through fresh water, but I'm surprised because I didn't expect it to be this clear. It's very clear water. The only thing that's making it not clear is stepping in it, and it stirs up some of the mud. It's really neat though to peek inside the environment below us.
This microorganism here surrounding this like plant that makes it more clear. As we carefully trotted along, with our hiking sticks and hiking boots, and the rangers organizing the group, we couldn't help but imagine life of the McCuskey tribe as they resided in the Everglades, mainly living on the hammocks we've seen sparkle these grass prairies.
That slough was incredible. We were definitely a little worried going into it, like alligators and snakes, crocodiles. There's a lot of stuff here in the Everglades that can do you harm. But they were all just afraid of us. That's what the rangers explained. And we didn't see a single one. But just getting immersed in the Everglades was a really cool experience. I highly recommend it if you're able to do it. It was definitely a little bit physically challenging because you don't want to fall in the mud, uneven footing and all that. But now for the rest of the Shark Valley entrance to the Everglades, we have this loop trail. Now there's a tram that goes on this. It's a 15-mile loop, so it's pretty long. So you can take a tram from the office. We're gonna check out a couple of the trails and hopefully see some more wildlife in this overcast, cool day here in the Everglades.
This trail, although it is really long, it's really pretty because you have the wetlands, the marsh on one side, and there are tons of animals out. So we have a lot of birds, we've seen fish so far. We've been told that there's probably an anhinga behind us a little bit. We've seen a blue heron.
There's one blue heron right there.
Oh yeah, there's one blue heron behind us. And then we might be able to see alligators. However, today is probably not that day. It's a bit colder, and because alligators are cold-blooded, they would probably prefer to be in the water where it's a bit warmer than the air temperature. If it was a hotter day, still in the winter dry season, they'd probably be out on the asphalt here to warm up their bodies.
One of the things that we learned today, and we've seen just throughout our time in the Everglades so far, is just the biodiversity and how it creates different ecosystems. And so something like this hardwood hammock could either just be a little ridge in the limestone, so it's higher, and then that's out of the water so more hardwoods can grow, bigger trees. Or it could start from a gator, like as small as a gator making its nest, moving the muck up, and then trees and smaller brush start to form. Those leaves fall off and it just builds up over time. It can just be a bunch of different things that create this ecosystem, and you'll just see them speckled across the grassy waters. And it's just super, super cool. Also very mosquito-y right now, so let's keep going to the next trail. For our final hike of the Everglades Bobcat Boardwalk Trail, we do have one really fun experience coming up next. It's not a hike though. You can guess what's gonna happen. These boardwalks are just so cool because you're just elevated a little bit and you just go right into the center of the action.
Just out of Shark Valley, we turned onto Loop Road, which is part of Big Cypress National Preserve. Everglades National Park only comprises about 20% of the Everglades, and in fact, many other national preserves and Florida state parks can be found nearby.
One of the environmental concerns are the phosphorus and the nitrates from fertilizer, and that is used in agriculture, and it's runoff into the watershed. And so here you can see these algae blooms, which are from the phosphorus and nitrate. So all this kind of green flowy stuff, I'm pretty sure, is algae blooms.
And also the increasing temperatures of the water, that impacts us too, right?
Right.
No climate change. There's so much of a beautiful reflection, it's hard to see. It's interesting, so you can actually see the water flowing through Big Cypress Preserve, which is where we're driving through right now. But just further shows that it's not a swamp, it is a marsh. There's moving water. It's very apparent right here. It's a slough. Slough of good times. For our last activity in the Everglades, we have something truly special, which is why we got up at dark 30 to get here at dawn.
We are here with Jenny, and we are about to go out on a kayaking tour.
Hi, I'm Jenny with Jenny's Eco Everglades Wilderness Tours. We offer kayak eco tours in the Western Everglades. Today it is a little cloudy just after sunrise, and we're hoping to see plenty of alligators after the sun comes up, and hopefully some wading birds as we go through the mangrove tunnels, and the wading birds and variety of ducks out in the marsh prairie.
Two minutes and we've already seen our first gator. It just went underneath the water, so don't see it anymore, but it's cool. Going through these mangrove tunnels, Jenny has mentioned that she's seen 5 bobcats through her experience here. She's been doing this for 10 years. And because the water level's so low here in the dry season, we can see possibly raccoons, maybe even a panther. Pretty incredible, and it's just so quiet. That's why I'm whispering, because I just want to be present, but yeah, amazing. The story of the Everglades is one of water. After the flood of the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane, where thousands died, President Hoover created the Okeechobee Flood Control District, which worked with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to stop the flow of water south of the Okeechobee, effectively beginning the slow death of the Everglades. The Everglades is more than just a national park for its biodiversity. It impacts millions of people. It filters water and ensures many aquifers stay fresh, supplying huge cities like Miami with their drinking water. But it's also a huge carbon sink with its miles and miles of peat. Many grassroots campaigns like Captains for Clear Water have highlighted many of the issues affecting the Everglades. And now, with the largest ecosystem restoration project in the world, SERP, huge efforts are going into the restoration of the Everglades.
With that, our time here in the Everglades is done.
We had such a fabulous time on this trip, it being the very first trip in our van. And I have to say, being raised in Florida for several years, it was kind of embarrassing for me to learn so much about Florida on this trip. I felt like I should have known some of this stuff, but nevertheless, I am extremely grateful for having learned it now. The Everglades are a vitally important ecosystem, part of Florida and part of the world.
Let us know in the comments below, did you learn anything? We just love learning, and it's just so nice taking our van that we spent 7 months building, hard labor, from scratch, and finally get to use it and finally get to travel, because that is our passion, traveling.
So thank you, and we will see you next Sunday.